Ferris, what do you think about the moves here and what might be happening?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I kind of have done some analysis on kind of tiers of players that have left, and Roman Wilson is kind of, even though we didn't, quote unquote, pass that much, we actually, Roman Wilson is a big loss. It's very likely he's going to be in the first couple rounds. Michigan needs to have good wide receivers as well. The threat at least needs to be there. Names that are out there, obviously Samaj, Tyler Morris, Frederick Moore. Let's see. Did you mention Peyton O'Leary? Another name that's been out there.
I didn't, but he will be the hotness of the spring for sure.
Yeah, we might have talked about that when we had our call the other day. Peyton O'Leary. He balled out last spring game, didn't he? Or he balled out at some point. I think it was the spring game.
No, he balled out last spring game. Yeah, he did. He was our best receiver. Yeah.
Yeah. So losing Roman Wilson, losing Cornelius Johnson as well. That's another piece of I thought defense looks good. Offense might be the kind of question mark. So now I think we've got to do both. We've got to do offense and defense. We've got to find players, and we have to do the next man up thing too as well.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of next man up, it's not just the players that we're talking next man up about. We had a super chat, and now's a good time to highlight it. Thank you, Tom, for your $5 super chat contribution. If anybody else wants to be like Tom and get their comment or question, hit that super chat, even a couple of bucks, and send it over, and you're going to be highlighted a little sooner. And unlike a lot of the comments that I just have to skip over today because there's a lot to cover, you're going to get your comment highlighted. And now, Tom, here, any word on a new D-line coach? And it seems like there are 4 names that are emerging. So TJ, I'll let you kind of start, but it seemed like Lou Esposito from Memphis, Terrence Jamison from Illinois, Todd Bates from Oklahoma, and Freddie Roach from Alabama. TJ, is there anybody who's kind of maybe emerging a little more in that, or any other insight maybe from that side?
Yeah, so first I want to say expect a D-line hire within this week or next week. That has been the word. So we should have that settled within the next week or two. The 2 names are Esposito and Jamison. Those would be at the top of the food chain. Word is Esposito might be the lead. But Jamison is a very good developmental defensive line coach. I mean, he's had a track record that's pretty impressive. I mean, he's obviously developed Jazon Newton from Illinois, who's going to be drafted in the first round this year, George Karlaftis at Purdue, and when he was at FAU, Trey Hendrickson. So very impressive. And then Lou Esposito, previously from Western, he coached Brandon Frisk, who is a very highly regarded defensive tackle prospect who transferred to Florida State. And then he also coached, Marshawn Nealand, who's projected to go second round this year for out of Western Michigan. So 2 very good coaches. They think Esposito is a stronger recruiter, and Jamison's more of a developmental, fundamental coach. But those seem to be the top dogs. The guy from Oklahoma, Bates, I don't think we're going to get him. I don't think we're going to get him because he received a pay raise, $900,000 a year in February at the end of the month, and he's one of the highest paid defensive line coaches. So unless Sharon Moore, ups the ante, I think he's going to stay in Oklahoma.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Lou, if you think Esposito might be the best recruiter, given the fact that Wink Martindale obviously is coming from the NFL and hasn't recruited in 20 years. And Scruggs was one of the things exciting about him was his recruiting ability. Maybe recruiting is something they'll look at pretty strongly. Ferris, what's your take on the defensive line potentials that are out there?
Yeah, so I think one interesting thing here, both Michigan and Ohio State have a kind of an open position, so to speak. I've been following the Ohio State one more, and it's to me, it's very interesting to me that still it's been a while. Still, Ohio State doesn't have a running backs coach.
Yeah.
I think what's happening, TJ just alluded to it with Michigan, and it might be happening in both places. There's a lot of people saying sort of no thanks, and then they're getting a raise with where they were, and I think that's what's happening with these dominoes, right? One thing I'll say, kind of from an analytics perspective, Ohio State does not run as much as Michigan, and I think they're still allergic to running, the smash kind of football. I think Ryan Day is my opinion, he's much more focused on passing. And I think that it kind of shows, Michigan has cerebral running backs, and it was super important for us to get, shore that up. D-line is obviously important as well. I hope we get someone soon, and I hope Ohio State takes a while to get their guy as running back coach.
Yeah, we'll get a defensive line coach soon. It will be soon. It's already progressing.
Yeah, it's interesting when we look at Ohio State and their situation, because it's got to be tough to find a coach when. Now, granted, people thinking that it's 70% pass, it's really not. I believe it's closer in 2023 to 49%, but that's still about 30%. That's still about 30 places higher than Michigan's in pass play percentage, who definitely has more running focus than Ohio State. Is that just harder to?
I was going to say, is that yards or attempts?
It's a good question. That is
I go by attempts. I've done some analysis by attempts. Ohio State's about 51%. Michigan's 62%, I believe. Alabama, believe it or not, is higher than Michigan for 2023. All these are 2023 numbers at 63%. So, what we're looking at is basically, from the SEC, the undefeated within the SEC, Alabama knew to run. So
when I said 30 percentage points, I actually meant closer to 50. I've been like 50 places, not 30. So it's a bit of a gap, even though it's not as much passing percent as you'd think.
Is the Alabama stats is it skewed because of Jalen Milroe's running ability?
Yeah, that is part of it. But it's just interesting to think that, most people think of the Big Ten as being, more of the smash mouth football, but the team that did not lose in the SEC, in the high flying SEC, they had, I think, 3 or 4 more attempts per game running than Michigan. Alabama did.
Interesting.